Hello, and welcome to CDO Magazine interview series. I'm Xavier Rodriguez with Triance, and we are partnering with CDO Magazine, MIT CDO IQ, and the International Society of Chief Data Officers in a series of interviews. I have the pleasure of speaking again with Alka Grobler, CEO and founder of My Choices Foundation. Alka works with local communities to develop programs that address the challenges of combating sex trafficking and domestic violence in India. Thanks again, Alka, for speaking with me.
Absolutely my pleasure and my honor. And we are always, as an organization, so grateful and humbled when people reach out to us and talk about the work and talk about this human rights issue. Thank you, Savio.
Appreciate it so much. We've been discussing some of the challenges and opportunities when it comes to using big data in the fight against domestic violence and human trafficking in India. Now, I would like to discuss My Choices Foundation's rather impressive use of data and analytics to track, measure, and predict at-risk areas in India. Can you tell our listeners about how My Choices Foundation has gone about using big data technology to prioritize and conduct education programs in villages where women and children are most at risk?
Thank you, Savio. I think, that question leads to why would a non-for-profit use big data analytics? How did the two go into the same path? And I think just to prelude into my answer is for those of you that are joining us now for the first time, is that there's an estimated 40 million slaves in the world. 80% of the slaves are women and girls, and 90% of these are used for sexual exploitation and sexual slavery. But only 1% of these girls will ever get rescued. Now, when we started working on this issue in India, India has got 600,000 villages. Most of the trafficking of the young girls, and an average age of these girls are only 12 years old, get trafficked from the village into the big cities. But how do we actually get to the family in the village? How can we warn them? How can we equip them? How can we empower them? We realized that there's no way we can go to all 600,000 villages. We don't have the human resources and we'll run out of time. But every minute counts and every goal counts. And so we partnered with a data analytics company called Quantium. And we said to them, listen, you have the expertise in data analytics. Here's the problem. Can you help us come up with a solution? So it took us about 18 months of research and work with them. And they developed what we call the village mapping tool. It's a tool that defines the most at-risk villages so that we can go to these villages first. They used a combination of census data and then a whole bunch of different databases, some that we had to sort of get access to. So data points that were used were the census data, access to schools, access to police, access to hospitals, literacy, and all of that then was built on a free cloud platform to help us identify which villages to go to first. So we are now in 11 states in India. We've partnered with over 100 implementing partners, and we conduct what we call the Safe Village program over a period of 3 days in the village, working with the fathers, the mothers, the schoolgirls, and the boys. And we equip them and educate them and empower them on how to prevent trafficking in their village. But if it was not for this data analytics tool that used big data and the algorithms coming with it, we would never have been able to really, really focus our work on those villages that need it most.
Yeah, and it's so again interesting how, given the remoteness of these villages and the data that gets collected across the board and just pinpointing the vulnerable areas. And I had the pleasure of talking with Ram Kumar, who partnered with Alka back then, and now Ram is the CDO for Cigna. But it was very interesting to see how whatever you described, Alka, coming to life and really making an impact in finding out these most at-risk communities. So thanks for sharing that.
And Savio, I just want to add quickly to that. We've also partnered with, people might ask, is this used in different places? And so we've partnered with Traffic Analysis Hub, which is hosted by IBM's cloud services. And they make this available to coalition members. And we are the member in India. And so we'll be working closely with them also, is how can what we've built in India of identifying villages most at risk, how can this have an effect, or can it be used globally if there are similar traits of how the trafficking happens?
Absolutely, absolutely. And that's a very important point. So thanks for calling that out as well, Alka. And then after reading some of the impact reports, and I highly recommend our listeners to go to My Choices Foundation website and do the same. It is almost hard to put into words how much you have accomplished over the past few years. While there is still a long way to go in combating immense pain and suffering, could you give us a summary of the impact that My Choices Foundation has had throughout India?
Thanks for that question, Savia. So it's obviously, as you will know, it's always a team effort. And at My Choices Foundation, we call our team members Dragon Slayers. So whenever there's a new person, all the existing people know that when you join the My Choices team, you are a Dragon Slayer, because you are called to slay dragons every day. We've just celebrated our 10-year anniversary this year. And just to give you an idea of the impact numbers across our Operation Peacemaker and Operation Red Alert, in Operation Peacemaker, we've helped over 12,000 families to work through domestic violence. And I think just something that I would like to highlight is where we as an organization, would say we are unique, but we always involve the perpetrator in these counseling sessions. How can you solve domestic violence if the perpetrator is not part of the solution? We across 11 states in India, and we've educated about 150,000 women and girls. These are school girls, college girls, across all the various issues facing them in domestic violence. And then through Operation Red Alert, which deals with, as you know, sex trafficking, we have the Safe Village program, in which we equip and empower the whole village to be safe and to identify the risks of trafficking. We've had close to 7,000 of these villages already. We add another 100 each month. We've reached almost 3 million people through all our empowering programs. And we've received close to 69,000 calls on our helpline, which is also India's only and first helpline just for sex trafficking. So those are our impact numbers. We are very proud of them. And we know, numbers can sometimes just seem at such a magnitude, but for us, each girl, each woman, each case is another moment for us to be proud of.
No, absolutely. And I know we've been so engrossed in such a very important topic and the work that you do. I know we're almost running out of time, but I would love for our listeners interested in helping My Choices Foundation, where should they start to make the most impact?
I think for us, obviously you always talk about awareness, people to educate themselves on human slavery, as it is seen as the biggest human rights issue we as a generation face. Upskill yourself, know about it, know how to look out for the signs. But I mean, obviously, as an organization, we are always interested in people who can partner with us via CSR or intellectual knowledge that people can come up with. But you can go to our website, which I'm sure will be here as well posted, but it's just My Choices Foundation, www.mychoicesfoundation.org, and have a look at the work we do, read about it, and see if you want to get involved and partner with us on this journey.
Thank you, Alka, for sharing that. And I would strongly recommend. It's such a very important focus area, and whatever anyone could do to help, please do. And I want to end this topic of combating social injustice in India with a very important question. As a leader in transforming both business and mindsets, and given the rapid pace at which the world is changing, what are the leadership traits that are necessary for success?
Thank you for that question. And I think I would like to answer it very much from a a personal learning experience. The work we do as an organization can sometimes be very hard and very tough, and your soul or your heart gets broken every day, and you have to restore this little by little. And there's a quote that we say that sometimes you have to kiss the wound from the root up. So as a leader in this work or field, there's what we call is a credo. My Choices Foundation has a credo, which we share with all our employees and with new people. And if you don't feel like you're going to fit this credo, then working in gender-based violence is most likely not the right place for you. And I just want to share a little bit of some of the things that we say in our credo. We are hope creators. We are dragon slayers. Grit is compulsory. In our team, trust is an absolute. We are undaunted. You can recognize our DNA, and we are founders, not workers. The kind of people that join an organization like My Choices have soft hearts and strong feet. They are able to go into places where a lot of people are not willing to go. They are able to listen to uncomfortable conversations that some people won't be able to listen to. But my team and I have been given the privilege, and we see it as an honor, to step into thousands of people's lives and replace the brokenness and the violence with peace. I just want to say what we've learned also, what I've learned as a leader, is that courage is contagious. If you stand up and some days you don't have the courage to face the heartache or the pain or the violence, somebody else in your team will have the courage that day. And not only is courage contagious, it's also the work and the commitment and the choices that the women and girls make that we partner with every day that gives us courage. So one of the biggest lessons is it is contagious. You can get it from the people that you serve, and uplifting women and girls is the greatest gift we can give them. And there's a quote that Melinda Gates had, and she said, sometimes the only thing to uplift a woman is not to pull her down. And I want to just end with this quote that we use in our organization a lot, and that drives us as leaders. Pulling drowning people out of a river is compassion. Justice is walking upstream to solve the reasons they are falling in. And that is what we do every day at My Choices Foundation.
Well said, Alka. I mean, it's so well summarized, and all that you do and uplifting, and courage is spontaneous and contagious as well. So, and it's so nice to see, all this that you're doing and continue to do. And I wish you and the team, the continued success that you'll have, especially in with such an environment, given the safety as well, which is another topic, another day for discussion. But thank you again for being here. That's about all the time we have. I'd like to thank my guest, Alka Grobler, CEO and founder of My Choices Foundation. Thank you so much for your time, Alka. Please visit cdomagazine.tech for additional interviews.
Thank you so much, Xavier.